NHS for me is more than just a workplace, but it has become a community, a family, and a calling where I've actually found my place, and I cannot be any happier than I am, to be honest and to be fair. No wonder why I'm sure today from the video you can see what I'm wearing, and it means we mean serious business, because today we want to talk about recruitment events within the NHS as an opportunity in which you can actually find your place get in the NHS and begin a career that you cherish forever, a career that can shape and change your life, your future, and the trajectory of your goals and dreams forever. Guys, today I'm going to be delving into quite a few trusts that are actually recruiting at the moment, a few recruitment events and a line up for events across the country and more. And I'll put also the links to these opportunities in the description, so please do stay tuned in this video as we're going to be exploring great opportunities. I'm passionate about recruitment events because that's how I penetrated into the NHS, and I cannot regret anything. It has just been the prayer answered. For those of you that are watching us for the first time, a big welcome. I'm Florence, and on this platform we talk about opportunities in the diaspora, and today we're talking about NHS trusts that are recruiting and when they are recruiting, and also what is it that we need to do for us to be able to grab these opportunities. So guys, grab a seat and then let's all explore this. So I shared a few weeks ago to say, for the NHS, this is recruitment season. And I know a few people would say, why would you know? Guys, disclaimer, I'm not speaking on behalf of any organization. I'm speaking from what I observe, from what I read and research, and also what friends and family do share with me. So disclaimer, I'm not representing any organization whatsoever. I'm saying this in my own personal capacity to just motivate you to join a great workplace that has actually done so much for me, which I will share, from work-life balance to rewarding career to career progression, personal development, and even much more. So I cannot be any happier sharing the opportunities within. So first and foremost, I want to share about a recruitment event that's coming up for NCAC, which is the North Cumbria Integrated Care NHS Trust. It has got a recruitment event coming up on the 25th of February. A lot of you might say, well, they categorically stated that they are not sponsoring. Guys, you got to be able to be so wise enough when you are looking at opportunities, and I will explain why I always talk about wisdom when you're looking at opportunities, and I also share my own experiences as far as opportunities are concerned. So a lot of people, when I shared this opportunity, reached out to me and say, well, they're not sponsoring. You got to have a certain eye for opportunities for you to see it as an opportunity. Why do I say that? Sometimes it's very difficult for these organizations to just advertise and say we're sponsoring, because it will leave a big void, because everybody wants to join the NHS. Nobody wants to. It's a great organization to work for. So if they do state that, you can imagine what will happen. Also, there are other things. They have got their own reason why they did that. So from my knowledge, most trusts do hold 3 events every year. So this could be maybe an event where they're looking at, we just want maybe to give this opportunity to locals first, to maybe they're not about to spend money because it's towards the end of their financial year. So there could be a lot of factors really affecting why they started they are not looking at sponsoring, because when we talk sponsorship, we talk financial expenditure, right? So from my knowledge, most trusts do hold these recruitment events 3 times a year. So the NCAC, they are looking at recruiting for different departments. So you could be watching this video and you work maybe for an organization and you work a certain number of days and you've got spare time. They're recruiting for full-time and part-time as well. So this could be for you. Also, you could be on a dependent visa, which means you can work for any organization, any number of hours. And these are the opportunities that we always say, if you're dependent, please get yourself to these events and you could see yourself getting into the NHS. Guys, stay tuned, because I'm also going to explain why I am for recruitment events as a way of getting in. The second opportunity that I want to talk about is the West London NHS Trust recruitment event. This is one they actually stated that they are looking for bulk recruitment. They're looking for quite multiple candidates, and they also specifically stated that they are preferring males because this is a mental health support worker opportunity. And guys, guess what? This is a band 3 opportunity. So if you know any male support worker who's been struggling, I know most males do struggle in this industry, in this country, to really like what they call a switch or moving from one organization to another. This is partly maybe due to preference, especially if you're doing domiciliary care or home care. So most clients or some clients do actually prefer female carers to male carers. So if you're watching this video and you're a male carer, the West London NHS Trust recruitment event is being held in West London. I'll put the link in the description so that you can actually make an application for yourself. So it's worth it that you apply, and then if you code, then you have actually opened for you. So the third opportunity that I want to talk about is the Royal Papworth Hospital NHS Trust Foundation. Guys, I love this one because it's so organized. They have actually put out the dates in which they're going to be holding these events. So that's on the 17th of May. They've got a recruitment event going. September the 13th, they've got another recruitment event going. December the 6th. This is in 2025 that they're going to be hosting these 3 recruitment events. I know the trust I work for normally holds 3 recruitment events. One in this first quarter of the year, another one in July, and another one will be around September, October, somewhere there. So they actually divide it in such a way that if you miss one, you're then targeting another one. So guys, this is a sign and an indicator that nearly every trust or every borough or county, whatever that they call it or you call it, will be looking at holding events. So it's not like you'll be saying, well, I live in this area, and then Flo, you haven't mentioned that they've got a recruitment event going. It's public knowledge. This has actually worked, because I'll give you an example to say this wasn't a common thing within the NHS, but it's public knowledge that they are struggling to really attract staff. If you're watching the news in this country, for the pressure on the NHS, and part and parcel of it is due to staffing within the organization. It's there, it's being talked about on the news and everywhere else, in the papers and everywhere. So that should be an indicator that definitely they're looking for people. Also, the second indicator, if you are critical like myself, when you hear somebody saying we are recruiting on a larger scale, what that means is for them, they really need people as soon as yesterday. There's something that I want to share with you guys. It's the fact that I know there are people who apply directly to these organizations when they do put out adverts, and they get called for interviews and stuff. But I want to share with you something. So getting called for interviews or getting a job with these organizations, from my experience, is a probability issue. So what happens is, when a position is put out there, you can imagine, let's just do basic analysis. How many people will respond to that advert? How many people are they going to invite for interviews? And what is it that they'll be looking at? Obviously, because it's more people, but they want one person, or the vacancy requires one person. So it means they're spoiled for choice. So there could be other people that can actually outperform you. Not because your personal statement is any bad, not because your skills are irrelevant or you're not skilled enough, but by just tiny little margins, you can actually miss that opportunity. I'll give you an example to say, you could have all the skills, you could have all the experience, but then they will tell you maybe you lack certain maybe clinical qualifications. Somebody with maybe clinical skills could get that job, but doesn't mean you did any bad. You could have the skills, you could have the qualifications, and then they'll go on to just pick somebody with more experience than you. They could pick somebody with clinical experience, somebody who has been working probably in a hospital environment, and that you lack because maybe you came from abroad and then you've been working maybe in support work, or you're working in community, or you have been working in a care home. So that's not to say you're bad or you don't have what it takes to actually work for the NHS, but you do hold all those qualities. I'll give you my own personal experience. Guys, before I joined the NHS, I was applying, responding to each and every advert that I would see, but I was never called for interviews. I would get regrets. So how did I then finally break into the NHS? I do remember they held a bank recruitment event, and I was like, I'll just go. I knew I was in a job, but what I was looking at, I was like, well, maybe if I go to this event and get hired, and then I'll gain experience, or I'll get maybe inside influence into maybe future employment. Guys, what I saw there, I'll share with you. First and foremost, because it's a recruitment event, they're looking into taking so many people. So even the way they conducted the interview, it was in favor of, we need to keep more people. It was unconventional. It wasn't anything that we are used to, where it's a one-to-one and it's a serious situation with a panel. There was a panel, but then we went into a group interview. I'm not saying this is what you're going to meet if you're going to any of these recruitment events. Each trust has got its own way of conducting these interviews, but I'm just sharing my experience. So it was more relaxed. It was more of a group thing. I started to grow in confidence, just seeing how others were answering, how the panel was giving everyone a chance to participate, answer in their own right. Of course, towards the end, we had then to go to a one-to-one, but I can guarantee you my confidence was just there versus when I first started off, versus when I first got in. So that's a booster. The fact that they're looking for so many people, so even the expectation, even the scoring could be in your favor. That's why I'm for these recruitment events. So that's how I got in. So I started working bank. The advantages of me having been on the bank team was the fact that I straight away I could access training, which is quite essential because it's something that you can add onto your application, overall application, when you begin to maybe apply either for a higher band or maybe apply for other individualistic roles in different wards. So that was the first thing for me. I straight away started doing my mandatory training, which was e-learning and face-to-face learning. So that's another advantage. Someone could say it's not sponsoring, so it's not worth going. But then where else can you get that training for free? So I straight away got on with my care certificate from day one. The second thing, or the second benefit that I want to mention when you do attend these recruitment events, is the fact that if you've actually attempted applying on track, there's this one question that they always ask to say, are you an employee of this trust, or are you an employee of any NHS trust? I've been thinking long and hard. I've been looking at that question, and why would they ask if you're an employee of the trust? What that means is maybe they know that the system, by virtue of you being in the system, there is a certain quality or a certain standard to how you would contribute to this role in particular, or in other teams, obviously, because of the way everything is so standard. So it could be to your advantage when you get into the system, and then when you're doing your applications, you are then confident to say, I work for the trust. This could work in your advantage. Guys, I've said, disclaimer, I'm not a representative of anybody. I'm not an HR person, but this is just my own analysis. So it could be really beneficial. It's not everything that comes with sponsorship that is beneficial. So it's one of the things why I am for these recruitment events. Then the other thing, I'll go on to talk about that recruitment event where they said the West London NHS Trust one for mental health. Guys, it's a great opportunity in the sense that this is a band 3 role. And most trusts, when we get to band 3, they are sponsoring. Most trusts, when we get higher up there, they are sponsoring. So this could be your break. This could be your big break that you need. So it's worth it that you do actually go for these events. One of the things that I want to mention is now most of these events are not open day events, but actually you have to apply. And then you get invited to come to the event. So it's worth noting, if you're watching this video and you haven't opened your Track account, that you need to create a Track account, and then through that account, that's when you will apply for that opportunity. And guys, I will delve into what it takes for you to apply. What is it that you need when you're applying on Track? Certain bits and bobs that I want to share. I know I've done videos where I share tips on how to come up with a very lucrative personal statement. So I'm going to be touching a bit on what is it that you need to do when you are applying for these roles. So this brings us to that point where one is now applying. You've opened your Track account, and then now you're going on these specific links that I'm going to share in the description box. So part and parcel of what's important when you're applying for an NHS position, be it healthcare, be it support worker or anything, is the personal statement. A lot of people have reached out to me and say, Flo, is it worth it for me to actually for these opportunities, apply for these roles, because I've got no hospital experience. My only experience is in community and everything. Guys, I want to share with you, and this has worked for me throughout, and this has actually boosted my confidence, and I'm sharing it with a lot of people when we do our one-to-ones, which I'm finding quite beneficial. Is the fact that no experience is irrelevant or is not enough. It's all about how you translate that experience, or how you make that experience relatable to the role in question, or to the role in particular. So when it comes to care, there are things that I know, or there are things that I'm quite confident that they bind care, they drive care, they're the focal point of care. And so it's not about you having worked in a certain environment, but it's about you possessing those qualities, and you being able to articulate in an interview or in a personal statement, articulating those skills and how you would contribute those skills to the team in question. So this is around the 6 years. I've done a whole video on it, so you can check it out on the same channel, guys, and share your thoughts on it. So this is whereby you look at yourself and you say, am I caring enough? Am I compassionate enough? Am I courageous enough? Am I committed enough? Am I a good communicator? Because at the end of the day, we cannot talk about care and not talk about communication. Everything borders around communication, how you communicate with the patients and how you communicate with your colleagues and your team overall. So those are some of the things that when you look at yourself, and you can actually look at scoring yourself and say, out of 10, how do I rate? And then that should give you an idea of whether or not you are the person for this job. But if you're a subscriber and a follower on this channel, definitely you are for this, because we always talk about these things. We always emphasize on these things. We always drill down on these things when we talk about care. So it's worth it. And I want also to talk on whereby someone would say, I've got no hospital experience. So most of these roles, when we talk about healthcare assistant roles, most of these are low qualification roles. And trust me, believe you me, they will train you. They will support you. You will be allowed to shadow for a while until you're confident enough to do certain tasks on your own. And trust me, the amount of support that you get, it won't take you that long for you to adjust, for you to fit in, because they emphasize on supporting each other, making sure competence is at the forefront of everything that they do. I went through the same. At first, I was quite skeptical. I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to be in this environment in particular. But whenever I would think about it, I would go like, how am I going to survive? But I found support. I was so supported. Training and everything boosted my confidence. And guys, I'm happy to say this is like I'm now in my second year with the NHS, and it's been an absolute pleasure working for them. So I know you too can fit in. Also, part and parcel of the things that I want also to share with you when you're applying or when you are going for these interviews is the fact that be able to translate your competencies, your trainings, all the training that you did is the same. Just make sure you're confident about it. Just make sure it has contributed to what they want from you. It's going to contribute to what you're going to bring to the team, and then you'll be good to go. Also, don't shy away from sharing your experience. It could be personal experience. If you've cared for a family member, if you've cared for a friend, if you've cared for a neighbor, be able to articulate and be proud of that experience, because all experience counts. The second type of experience that I would also encourage people not to shy away from is, suppose you work in domiciliary, but you've also maybe worked for an agency or you worked a second job somewhere. Take that experience and run with it. Take that experience, share with them in an interview, or articulate it fluently, or articulate it professionally and proudly in a personal statement. Trust me, you will stand out. Also, I want to share with you a few tips when you're doing your personal statement. I know we live in the age of technology and we all use AI. But the reason why it's called a personal statement is obviously AI will tell you all those things. Obviously, your research will tell you all those things. But always try by all means to keep it very personal. Add a bit of you in there. That will be the difference maker. That will be the difference between you and the next person. That will be the difference between you and AI. So please make sure you keep it very personal. Make it a personal statement. Bring out that story. Bring out that passion, that fire within you to say, I want this. This is what I'm going to bring. This is how I will contribute to the overall goal. Guys, other people may ask me, so then when I go, what sort of questions should I ask them? Because I know whenever you go to an interview, because it's recruitment events, you will be interviewed. What sort of questions should I ask? One of the questions that I discourage people from asking is the sponsorship question, unless you are asked. I'll share with you my own experience. That's why I also encourage people to just apply for these events and go to these events. You just never know. So my experience was, when I went to the recruitment event that I went to, it had stated that it's a bank recruitment event. And so there was a question to ask, what sort of a role would you want? Would you want a permanent role? Would you want a part-time role? Would you want a bank role? So straight away I said I wanted a bank role. But I have got colleagues, I've got friends that actually take to say they wanted a full-time role. This was a bank event, but they said they wanted a full-time role. They also ticked if bank was available, they would take it. And guess what? When they were emailed to say you've been successful, they were actually offered certificates of sponsorship. So it's very, very important that you gamble, that you just share what you feel. You just go for it. You just never know. You go for it, you lose nothing if they are not offering. But if they are offering, this could be the opportunity that you've been waiting your whole life for. So it's one of the things that I always encourage people to say. You attend these events. If they ask you if you are open for sponsorship, if you're open for a full-time role, then you go on to explain your circumstances. Instead, some people would rather ring now before the actual event and say, oh, I saw an event and I was wondering if you are sponsoring. You could be speaking to someone who is not well versed with how the whole sponsoring process goes. This is not the actual recruiter. This is not the actual HR designated people that you should be talking to. And then they will just say, oh, no, we're not. You get what I'm saying? So I always say, go and attend an interview. Go and do your best in an interview and leave it until you've been successful. And then you can negotiate your way into whether or not you are going to get sponsorship. So guys, more opportunities are going to come, and we will share as and when they come. We are determined. This is a season of opportunities, and we do encourage you to embrace those opportunities because they will open more doors for you. In conclusion, I'll also share with you my own experience. So I joined first time as a bank NHS support worker, which went on to open doors for training, gaining experience, and also references from different wards that I worked in. I actually maximized when I was working on bank. I would pick different shifts in different wards that I knew I needed to gain experience and insight into. And that also helped me when I was now choosing for what I wanted to do. When opportunities arose, I knew what I had seen. I knew what sort of an environment I would thrive on, and I would survive in. So these will open opportunities. I'll also share with you another opportunity that arose for me from being on a bank team. I had access to certain vacancies that would come up, and it would say internal vacancies. So these are vacancies that only are open for people that work for that trust in particular, or people that work within the NHS. So these vacancies are not seen by everybody. These vacancies are not shared on Indeed, but specifically they want people who already work for the trust. So this is another plus. And guys, between me joining bank and the time I got a permanent role, I would say it took me about 3 months. In those 3 months, I applied. And guess what? After all those applications I had made previously, and I was struggling, I wasn't breaking through, but I only did 3 applications after I joined bank. And guess what? All 3 applications were successful. I had interviews lined up. And obviously, I chose the one that I liked the most for very specific and personal reasons, and I've got no regrets. So I'm big on recruitment events. I'm big on people attending events. I'm big on people embracing each and every opportunity that comes their way. And guys, before I end this video, another thing that I want to encourage people to do as an opportunity is try volunteering. Try wanting to just join bank. And for you to join bank or to volunteer, you don't have to actually wait for a recruitment event to go. You can actually just approach the trust either by going on their website and finding the bank team, or you do a walk-in and then you can ask on the reception desk, you ask, I want to join the bank team, or I want to volunteer with this trust, how do I go about it? Guys, I know people that have actually gone on to get opportunities through this. So like we said, the NHS needs you and me. The NHS needs people, and they need every pair of hands that can come on board is equally important. So this is your chance. This is what we are talking about. And guys, that's all I had for you in this video. I'll see you in our next video, and it's bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like, and also leave in the comments any thoughts, any future videos you want us to be making. And if you find this very valuable, please share with your friends and leave a like. It does help us to reach as many people as we can, and then we are helping as many people as we can. So that's all I had for you guys. I'll see you in our next video. Bye.